Hello, Steve White, Steve White 9. Well, I'm continuing on with my science fiction movie marathon, and I watched another classic, Invaders from Mars from 1953. Not to be confused with the 1986 remake, which I'm about to watch, which I have seen, but I don't remember as well. But this one, I never watched it. I bought it years ago on DVD, meant to watch it, like happens so often in my collecting life. I buy a lot of DVDs and put them aside, and I'm waiting for like the time to watch them properly, and then it just doesn't happen. But I'm glad I didn't watch this one because the quality of that print was awful. And I started watching it, and I'm like, this is woeful. I actually bought this on actual and official DVDs, not like okay. So I looked on YouTube, and I just happened to find a advertised as 1080, but it was actually 720 version of the film that had been remastered, and with thanks to some Australian archives. So it looks really good. It still has some of the really strong colour in some scenes, which I thought came from the bad print, but actually it was just the lighting actually. But so I watched that version, so it's much better, and it was actually pretty good. The story is about a kid who is looking out into the skies with a I was going to say binoculars, with a telescope, to look at some rare event that's happening at a particular time in the morning. He sets an alarm to wake himself up. He wakes up his parents, and the dad goes in, and they look at it for a minute, and then the wife comes in and tells them off because the dad's a scientist, and she has to like get them both back to bed. So they go to bed, and then the kid's woken up by some explosions, which sound like lightning, but was probably the ship entering the atmosphere. And he sees a ship coming along and going over the tops of the trees and then down below into like a sandy sort of area over a hill. And of course he's excited by this, and he tells his dad about it and the dad doesn't see it and tells him to go back to bed. But then the dad goes out to investigate, and the dad disappears. Well, the next morning the wife goes out to find the father, and the father was very nice, very fun. He seemed to enjoy his son's joy at sort of exploring science and that. But when his dad comes back, he's cold and not like a zombie, but he's just really cold and not like himself. Because the wife calls the police, they come, but then the husband shows up. He's missing a shoe, and they don't know what's happened. What's happened is he's been taken and he's been implanted with some sort of implant to control him, and now he's working for these Martians. Now next, the two police who came to investigate have been taken, and they start to do things at the police station they're not supposed to. They take people, and they keep taking people to this patch of sand where the ship is underneath the sand, and it keeps opening up holes and taking people in. Eventually the kid, he goes to the police, and one of the police has already been taken control of. He eventually sees a nurse because one of the policemen orders a nurse, even though he was told just to leave the kid to sort of cool his heels in the jail cell, basically. He calls her, and she becomes suspicious. She contacts the scientist. He actually knows some of the stuff that's happening in the area, so he and her and the kid all work together, and they eventually convince the local police force, and they get the army involved, and then they all start to take on the Martians, I guess. They cordon off the area, and they try to get down into what is now sort of like a bunch of caverns that the aliens have created, and get to the ship because they want to rescue the kid and the doctor, female doctor, who've both been they've fallen into another hole further away from the area that they were sort of looking at. So they have to go down. And the Martians themselves, there's this one which is really interesting. He's basically like a giant head with a part of an upper body and hands and little weird tree-like antenna arm things. It's quite an interesting creation. He's the brain, and he rules over a bunch of drones, I guess, that are these large men in green suits with green faces that kind of look like masks. They do seem to change, so I think they're trying to look like they actually move, but I think they're actually solid masks. That's what the costume is. And there's a lot of running around backwards and forwards between the ship and the caves and trying to get the doctor back and trying to save the kid, and it gets a little bit confusing in there for a bit, and they're trying to blow it up. Eventually, they do blow it up, and the military's idea that they can just blow anything up and they can just defeat this advanced technology is kind of funny, but I mean they do, but it's all a lot of fun. I mean, the initial part with the kid discovering the UFO is amazing. As someone who used to stare out my window as well into the sky, sort of, I love those scenes, and the doctor is very sympathetic, and the people disappearing and coming back, not like themselves. That's all very creepy and works very well. Once you get down into the caves and that and the ship, like I said, it gets a bit confusing. But the one thing that's upsetting about the film, and it happens right at the end, spoilers, they reveal the kid basically wakes up and it's all been a dream. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That was all supposed to be a dream? That he fell asleep between his dad coming in and that was all a dream. But then you see him go to his parents and they're like, oh, it's just a dream, go back to bed. And then he goes to the window and or goes back to his room and he sees the same lightning, and he looks out and he sees the UFO come. But this time, when he's saying gee whiz, like he says the first time, it's rain. There's a different shot of him from outside looking at the window frame and him, and it's raining. So it's like he had a vision, but the vision is exactly what's happening right now. So is what we saw in the vision going to happen? So it actually puts a very interesting little twist on the ending where you're not quite sure what's going to happen. It's not quite as, frustrating as like The Wizard of Oz or one of these endings where they sort of say, oh, it was all a dream, but is it? This is like, it was a vision, but is it going to happen? So it was all very well done. All the acting was good. The production was good. The UFO looked cute. It was like, your little, 1950s saucer, but this one was glowing. The aliens were interesting. Some of them were quite large men or stuntmen or performers, and they were made to look like giants. And most of the shots it worked, some it didn't. But they had big, 3 fingers and stuff like that. So, but the main Martian, the main alien, or I think he was actually supposed to be a whole form of humankind. I'm not really clear. They refer to them as Martians. I need to go back and look at all that and work all that out. But it was interesting. He never speaks. He just controls everything with his mind. He just looks at things. It was all very well done. I enjoyed it, and I'm going to watch the remake now, because they remade a few of the classic 50s movies in the 80s, like The Blob, The Thing, Invaders from Mars, and stuff like that. So I'm kind of trying to do the originals and the remakes. I can't find my copy of The Blob, though. I know I've got one somewhere. But I've been talking for 8 minutes. It's supposed to be a 5-minute review, but I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. If you haven't seen it, I'd watch it. I mean, it really is fun to watch these old movies. Once you understand the context, when they were made, the time they were made, and all that, you can enjoy them. A lot of people sort of say, oh, you can't enjoy old films. Everything has to be changed to be, acceptable to modern day audiences. And it's just, no, those people are just ignorant and unsophisticated, and you really can enjoy these films for what they were and what they are. And I'm really glad that I own them all and I'm watching them all, and they're in my library, and I'm just having fun.